So the Russians are complaining that Ukrainians have attacked fuel depot in Russia. My reaction to that is, really? Let's talk about it in today's video.
Мама. Ух ты. Бедные собаки все убежали. Один отстрелялся, потом второй. О, там их сколько. Вот второй полетит.
Hi, I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. I'm also a lawyer and an academic, and I'm here to help you stand up to the BS of the MAGA crowd. So you just saw some video of 2 helicopters shooting missiles at a Russian fuel depot located in Russia, about 20 miles from the Ukrainian border. The explosion apparently burned on for more than a day and a half, and firefighters had to be called in from the entire area to put out the fire, as would be expected in an explosion at a massive fuel depot. The Russians, for their part, are all morally outraged. How dare the Ukrainians come into Russian territory and do this? Which seems pretty ironic, given the fact that they're invading in Ukraine right now. But what's more is it seems strange that the Russians would be highlighting the fact that 2 Ukrainian helicopters were able to fly past all their defenses, blow up a fuel depot about 20 miles into their territory, and return unharmed. Apparently, when a Russian defense official was asked about that, he was understandably speechless. I mean, as if we didn't have enough evidence already about the ineffectiveness of the Russian military. So I have to admit, much as I deplore any violence, I laughed out loud when I saw that the Ukrainians had sashayed across the border with their helicopters, unharassed, and successfully exploded this depot that was being used to fuel the tanks and the trucks that are invading their country. Now, to be fair, the Ukrainians haven't confirmed or denied that this was actually a Ukrainian attack, but it seems pretty silly to assume otherwise. And if the Ukrainians actually had not done this, you'd think that they'd be denying it pretty forcefully. At any rate, this is just one more example of what really was a bad week for Vladimir Putin. Some of the other news is that apparently his top officials are afraid to give him real information about what's going on with his military in Ukraine. According to one analyst, that would be a particularly disturbing charge for somebody who at one point was an intelligence official in the Russian FSB, the equivalent of their CIA. But it seems odd to think that he doesn't know what's going on when he could go to YouTube and see exactly what we're seeing over here. My guess is even as the Russians are blocking the access of most Russians to the internet, he's one person who would be able to get access to it. So it seems hard to believe that he doesn't understand how completely inept his military has been. What's more are reports that the Ukrainians have actually taken back territory, and not just in the northern part of the country near Kyiv, where Russians say that they're pulling back their forces, but also some areas in the southeast and near the Black Sea coast. These are clearly areas that Russia wants to hold on to, if at all possible. And the fact that the Ukrainians have been retaking territory there really shows just how effective the Ukrainians have been and how ineffective the Russians have been. And there's no amount of propaganda that Putin will be able to use to somehow justify that this is a good thing. That being said, the one bright spot for Putin has been his propaganda machine, where indications are within Russia that Russians have kind of been rallying to the flag in support of him, and that those who oppose the war have either left the country or have decided to keep quiet for fear of what the Russian security forces would do to them. An unfortunately justifiable fear. Even within the context of the difficulty of assessing Russian public opinion, it probably is likely that Russians have increased their support for Putin's war, given the fact really that they have access to no other information about it. I mean, there are even Americans who are accepting the Russian propaganda, and we have lots of other information to counter that propaganda. Imagine how it must be in Russia itself. So although Putin might not be succeeding on the battlefield, it appears the one area that he's got some good people working for him is his propaganda machine. But at a certain point here, no amount of propaganda is going to be able to cover over the defeats that the Russians seem to continue to be having in their Ukrainian invasion. Well, one area that's been particularly damaging to Russian prospects has been the Allied response to it with our sanctions. Why don't you check out my video over here where I talk about the damage that the American-led sanctions are doing to the Russian economy. I'll see you then, and in the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.